Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully Stephen and Lori can get their sound going. We are going to mute everyone because we have over 100 folks signed up for this, or actually 100 for this Zoom meeting. New platform for everybody. I know many of you. I don't know that we've done one with this many participants before. It shows how important our topic is today. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Dale Holder. I'm your state chair for the State Suppliers Council. And at the end of this, everybody, when you registered, you supplied some questions. So we've got some questions we're going to ask for our panelists. And at the end of the call, I'll unmute everybody. We'll look at the chat box and see if you have any questions that come to mind that you do not hear covered, that's important to you, put them in the chat box. Kristen Goins with AANC is watching the chat box, and I'll unmute her, and we'll open it up at the end for kind of a Q&A, and we'll go from there. So hopefully Stephen and Lori can get their sound going, but I just want to introduce our panelists. First of all, welcome everybody. We're in truly unprecedented times, and we're all in this together. So I want to thank you guys. Y'all are showing leadership across the state in your various affiliations with our multifamily industry. It's really great to see everybody come together and figure out how to cobble together a strategy when we can't go out to the properties like we used to and like we're accustomed to. And so this call is going to be designed to help us a little bit better with that. Our panelist today is Stephen Hayworth. He's the Director of Maintenance with Drucker and Falk. We also have Lori Myers as the Director of Multifamily with Grubb, and Amy Tamako, Regional Vice President with Hawthorne Residential Partners. Also on the call today, as I mentioned earlier, is Kristen Goins. She's staff with AANC, and Joshua Dick, our Executive Director with AANC. So our first question, and if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that there's a full screen, there's a speaker view, and there's a gallery view. If you click on speaker view, it will toggle back and forth to who is speaking. So if you want to do that, and you can see Amy a little bit better, and hopefully we'll get Stephen and Lori's audio going here. So our first question is going to be for you, Amy. And it comes from Judy Caldwell with Home Depot Multifamily. And her question is, please provide guidance on how you want suppliers to interact with your company during this extended COVID environment, and how can we best serve as an extension to your teams to provide consistent services and maximize your team's effectiveness at the property and corporate level. So it's a big one right off the bat.
Okay.
All encompassing.
All right. So I'll start with the first question. So right now we have offices closed with Hawthorne, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the same way for most folks. So we are physically in the office, we just have the doors locked. So right now we're asking everyone to either, make a phone call, do a Zoom meeting, or, use email. Those are the types of contact that we are asking everyone to use at this point in time. Now we will, if somebody does come to the office, we will open the door and say hello, but I do hear from the team members that they don't like that. It makes them nervous. They don't know where that person has been or who they've had contact with. So my advice would be to choose either to, put together a virtual meeting with someone, pick up the phone, or, just send them an email, let them know. And then what was the second part? Sorry, Dale.
Second part was, how can we best serve as an extension to your teams to provide consistent services and maximize your team's effectiveness at the corporate level?
Well, I think right now, I think everyone is having to make concessions that they haven't typically had to make in the past. So bill payments may be a little bit later than usual. We haven't had any owners that, you know, have dictated that we don't pay anything. But we've got our corporate office that's working remotely, so they typically could cut checks quicker. They're only going into corporate once a week to cut checks. They're all rotating through the corporate office. So I'm not sure how it is for others, but that's how it's currently set up with Hawthorne. Is we don't have people physically at the corporate office. They are rotating through to limit the number of people in the office, because there are certain things that they just simply can't get done remotely, that they have to go in and, you know, physically cut checks and that sort of thing. I'm trying to think of what else that folks can do to help. I think it's just...
We've got more specific questions coming, but you could probably...
Okay.
Steve, do we have your audio? I can see Steve. Technology. All right, Amy, you're up. So next question comes from Jesse MacArthur with Ready Carpet. Outside of providing our services, what are other ways we can help support both on-site and off-site staff during these tough times?
Again, so if you are a vendor that has to come to the property, my advice would be just to call in advance and find out what their new protocol is if they haven't made you aware. Like, are they going to go and unlock the apartment in advance? You know, those sorts of things, because I think a lot of vendors are accustomed to coming to the office to check out keys and that sort of thing. And we are going and unlocking the apartments in advance. And then when they're done, if they can just notify us and let us know they're done, then we can go back and lock the apartments. Just trying to, you know, social distance and minimize the contacts that we have to come with others to help, you know, reduce the spread if it's out there amongst us. And then I'm trying to, on the outside of it, just, you know, just calling us. And I know they miss the vendors, they miss seeing everyone, they miss the normalcy of everyday life. So if it's, you know, if you're a vendor that typically saw the teams, I would just pick up the phone and call them. Or if you want to see their smiling face, you know, set up a meeting to chat with them. I know that everyone is missing that social contact. When I'm on site, I feel like I'm inundated with people just wanting to, you know, talk and chat, and they just want that human contact.
Right. I think we all miss it. Most of the people in this industry are extroverts, especially on the sales side, you know, so we're used to doing our thing and hitting quotas and calling people and providing services. So the next question comes from yours truly, this guy. And this is for you, and Stephen and Lori, if y'all get your audio going, just pipe in, because I don't have either one of you muted. So hopefully we can figure that out. So what are some of the really smart and innovative new processes you've seen so far from a supplier that has stood out to you, that's made your life and work easier for you and Hawthorne? You don't have to give the company name, but maybe an example of something that was like, wow, that really has been helpful.
So you had sent me that question and nothing came to the forefront of my mind. So I had sent it out to other folks and I was like, hey, you know, are you guys seeing stuff that, you know, our vendors are doing that is different, or, you know, that has changed with the new process that you thought was pretty innovative? And some of the vendors have gone to, you know, emailing invoices instead of mailing them, because people are afraid to open the mail. You know, they're afraid of things. So a couple vendors have gone to, you know, emailing their invoices. So that's been helpful. And then that's the only thing that really comes to the forefront of my mind. I can't think of anything else that anyone has done. I mean, I'm be curious to know if somebody has done something out there that they could share with us. So that would be, you know, I'd be interested to know that.
Good. I think we have Lori now. Lori, do we have audio?
Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Talk loud. We can barely hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
You can hear us. That's good. We can see you.
That's good. Okay. I know I've been able to see you. I just haven't been able to hear or talk to you. So.
Perfect. Hold the microphone up real close like that.
That works better?
Yes,
Oh, much better. And I'm sorry for Stephen. Stephen, if you can't get your audio going, You know, you can hop off if you want to. I'm sorry for the technical issues. But we've got Lori. So Lori, you're gonna get to relieve Amy something so she doesn't have to answer every single question.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for every management company out there.
Right. So just for the same question at Lori, did you hear that same question? What innovative things have you seen some suppliers do that have stood out to you that has made work easier for you and Grubb and your managers?
Well, I get the overwhelming response that I've gotten from our managers is the communication's been really good with a lot of the suppliers, you know, with the offices on kind of lockdown and on skeleton staff. Deliveries have been one of those things that everyone was concerned about, but everybody has set up a special way of communicating, whether it's through text message or telephone, and set times for deliveries. You know, some of the properties are having them deliver outside. Some of them have specific delivery locations, because our teams aren't, you know, they're shorthanded, and I think everybody has jumped in and played a big part in trying to set it up differently. And it's so far, it sounds like it's been working really well. We've taken a priority from an accounting standpoint. We have our accounts payable department really reaching out to the vendors, making sure that they're getting paid in a timely manner. That was one of Clay's big initiatives. He wanted to make sure that we were getting our suppliers paid first and foremost. So everybody's kind of jumped in and played a part to make sure that that process is done. And like Amy said, we really are trying to do more electronic invoicing so that we can get the process done efficiently and timely.
Awesome. All right. So next question comes from Kelly Gold with Blue Sky Restoration. And this is a little bit similar to a previous question, but we'll make it more specific to maintenance. What's the best way for suppliers to communicate? You got photobombed, Amy.
I know. Sorry. So my office has turned into the teacher's lounge also. So this is where they work and work from school.
I feel you. I just had to shoo my cat off my tables. So what's the best way for suppliers to communicate with your maintenance teams who may not be sitting in an office staring at an email computer? And I'll open that to Lori, and then Amy, if you want to follow up.
So one of the things that my maintenance team has asked, and actually both property manager and maintenance, is texting in a group text so that there are multiple people that know what's going on in the case that maintenance may not be on site, because we are rotating them in an in-home situation, so they're there but not throughout the whole day, because we have slowed down service requests and such. So text messaging is the way they want to communicate, and including the property manager in that loop, so that everybody is in the know, so that we can keep the communication going.
Excellent. Amy?
Yeah, no, I agree with Lori on the text messaging, because I know for our maintenance teams, you know, we've had owners, you know, panicking that their, you know, where collections are going to be down, that sort of thing. So we were working on finding ways to you know, reduce expenses. And we've got, obviously we have savings like in resident events and such because the offices are closed. So we've, a lot of our maintenance guys are painting in-house. So they are busy, and, you know, so maybe scheduling, you know, a Zoom meeting with the manager, so that the manager knows what time the Zoom meeting is and can, you know, corral them in and get them where they need to be, and they can communicate and see everyone. And no offense, but most of my maintenance guys aren't super tech savvy. So coordinating with the manager and allowing them that FaceTime would be super helpful.
So this is one of those rare times where the maintenance guys don't mind giving out their cell phone numbers.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of numbers changed after the COVID-19's over. All right, next question, and Amy, I'll let you keep rolling, and then we'll let Lori follow up with it since we're down to 2. And this comes from Brad Lanier with HD Supply. Are renovation projects on hold or canceled due to COVID-19? And if so, do you foresee them resuming this year?
So mine would be, for Hawthorne, it's case by case. So we have, depending on how, if it's funded out of operations, it's on, if there's separate funding that is, paying for the renovations, we are continuing and moving forward with renovations. So it depends on what's, what the source of income is to pay for such events.
Gotcha. Lori?
So what we've done is the major CapEx projects, they've been pushed out 6 months, but there are, in certain cases, if the project does allow for less exposure with contact with residents, then we are analyzing whether we should be going forward with the projects. But we have no intention of canceling any of them, but a lot of them have been delayed out 6 months.
I got you. Okay. And everybody remember, if there's something on your mind that you're not hearing from these pre-submitted questions, please enter them into the chat box. Kristen is watching that, and when we get done with the questions that were submitted, and we can't we can't submit every question. We had a lot of great ones, but for time's sake. So if you do have a question that's just gnawing at you and you're like, gosh, I wish they would ask this, put it in the chat box. We'll try to get it, because being down to 2 panelists, we'll probably have a little time. All right, so Lori, we'll send this one to you to start with. This comes from Kelby Burling with Automatic Leasing Services or Service. How are communities or property management firms financially positioned right now, and will they be going lean, and if so, getting rid of services or vendors or amenities? And a second part to that, are they looking at prioritizing payments to certain vendors and services?
You kind of broke up with the question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, I can. So this comes from Kelby Bowling with Automatic Leasing Service. How are communities or property management companies financially positioned right now? Will they be going lean? And if so, reducing services, vendors, and amenities? And are they prioritizing payments to certain vendors?
So our company right now is in a good financial situation. We don't plan on going lean. A lot of our amenities have closed down because of the situation that the country's in. But we are prioritizing all vendors in getting paid. That's our main focus from a corporate standpoint, in getting all of them paid in a timely manner.
Excellent. Amy?
Well, I know for all of our amenities at Hawthorne are closed down, except for our laundry rooms, since it is essential. We've just posted for people to maintain their contact and limit the number of people in the laundry rooms. But we haven't gone lean yet. We haven't seen. Right now, we're only experiencing a 2 to 3% reduction in rent collections. We've got folks on stimulus checks are starting to go out. So we're still optimistic about operations and being able to pay vendors. We have not gotten to a point where we've discussed prioritizing vendors or anything. It's business as usual for us.
Awesome. Okay. And this is for both of you again. And this one comes from Betsy Petrucelli with RentPath. And I like this one because we're used to doing this. What is your take on delivering lunch or snacks to your teams on site? Is there a policy in place about food being brought to the property?
So we don't have a policy in place at Hawthorne for it. So, you know, she's welcome to. I know a lot of folks when I've been on site, I've heard people say that they haven't done any takeout because they're scared of transmission of COVID-19 and that sort of thing. So I think it's just for us, you know, call the property and if they're interested and, you know, you're able to do it, then great, you know, make arrangements with them. Whether they want you to leave it at the door and have the contactless delivery, you know, that sort of thing that a lot of the places out there are offering, or, you know, just finding out on a case by case, because I've seen that some people are way more frightened than I expected versus other folks who aren't as frightened. So I think you just need to, you know, feel them out and see how they're feeling.
Gotcha. Lori?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback right on what Amy said. Same thing goes with us. We don't have a policy in place, and it's a, you know, case by case basis. Each property, each person has their own fear level, I guess, with the contact. So it would just be that communication with them and arrange it property to property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So we can still come and feed them. Okay. All right, so this question comes from Lee Hayworth with Maintenance Supply Headquarters. If vendors extended terms for payments, would your company be more inclined to purchase more than emergency items for use now and in the coming weeks of the situation we're all facing?
Since it's business as usual for us at Hawthorne, it probably wouldn't change anything. Now, I may be singing a different tune in May, you know, how it's business as usual. So it wouldn't help us at this point in time. But if things, you know, turn, you know, south quickly, then that may be definitely something we'd be interested in talking about.
Gotcha. Okay. And have you experienced a slowdown in the amount of turns you'll be doing during the normal months ahead?
I'm not sure about Lori, but it's been crazy busy.
Yeah.
We're at least in like crazy. So the
Right.
things are happening. We're, you know, it's not stopped.
So on the front end, you're still seeing business as normal on leasing, other than doing it by appointment or virtual tours or that type of.
Yeah,
that hasn't slowed down.
No, we've been comparing our numbers, you know, year over year for the same time frame, and we're actually busier now than we were last year, which is mind-boggling to me.
Great. We have a resilient industry and resilient residents.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So
yeah, because I've had owners say, well, we're going to save money in turns, and I'm like, well, the volume's heavier, so I'm not sure how.
Yeah. Well, and another question to tie into that, NHMC put out their report for April saying that April rents were down only 12% year over year. What are you seeing with your delinquency for April?
Yeah, I spoke to this earlier. Ours is about a 2 to 3% increase currently. Now, and I'm speaking, you know, we do have higher properties in some areas and then lower properties in others. You know, so I may have a property at the 12% level, but then I have a property that's 0%. Like my Fayetteville properties are basically 0%.
Wow. Lori?
We have a low percentage as well. The payment plan options that we put into place have been really helpful, so it has deterred delinquency. So we're hopeful that people stay on top of their rents and pay the payment plan options that we put out there for them. But it hasn't been what we thought it might have been. So we're really happy about that.
That's great. So let me ask you that. You brought up a good point, and I don't think it's on any of the questions. How many residents have taken advantage of a payment plan? And I don't know, Amy, if you have one. That's one of the things our company has looked at. Are a lot of people taking advantage of that now?
I've had it's not as many as I anticipated, but I do anticipate more in May. So
Yeah.
there have people, so we've been offering a payment plan. We've been offering them to use their security deposit. So the ones who, they have been affected, they've either, they're coming in, they're showing that they've had either a furlough or they've had their hours cut at work. Those are the ones we're seeing. And then of course we're seeing our typical late payers. They pay us late every month. So, they're joining in on the fun of, paying. Now they can pay whenever they want, basically.
Okay, awesome. Now, I don't know if y'all saw it, but there was a big, or I don't know, I don't think it really got a lot of traction, but there was a rent strike movement in Raleigh that we were watching, and they were trying to get residents that weren't impacted financially to participate in this rent strike to show solidarity to the folks who had been impacted. Did you feel any pain from residents not wanting to pay rent that could?
I haven't.
So we had one or two incidences actually in the Greenville market down in South Carolina, but nothing impacted us in the Raleigh market, and it was put to bed pretty quickly. So
yeah, I mean, we've had residents call and say, are you waiving rent this month? And we're like, no.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right, so that is about it for the submitted questions for the time allotment we've got. We're down to about 8 minutes. And if this thing cuts off on us, I think it's going to shut off on us at 9:30. And so just to give y'all a heads up, I forgot to mention that at the beginning. We got a 40-minute time allotment. I've got, looking at the queue, I've got one from Brian Brand. And Brian's question is, how are properties trending towards their budget goals? And if I'm a vendor who does not have a current business relationship with your site and I have a cost-saving solution, what's the best way to communicate this and offer it to your teams?
I mean, I think we're always open to listening to cost-saving solutions. I know I am. I think the best way, sometimes when managers get new vendors contacting them, they're probably, they've got relationships, and that sort of thing. They're less apt to being open. So I would suggest reaching out to myself or the regional managers.
Okay. Lori?
Same here. Regionals would be the way to go, just because of the situation we're in.
Okay. So we may have covered this a little bit, but Brandy Rutledge asked, what is your company expecting or planning to see in the month of May?
I've been rubbing my crystal ball. I'm not really sure at this point in time.
Yeah.
I think everyone is super apprehensive about May. So
Right.
Especially if the folks that need the stimulus checks don't receive them, it'll be interesting times for sure.
Yeah, I know my daughter got hers, so I think they're starting to land. Lori?
Yeah, so we are, we're kind of in that same boat. We're apprehensive about May, but hopeful that the stimulus checks and some unemployment that people are finally starting to get will be there to help them with the rent. So we've started discussion on our payment options for May, and going to continue with the payment plans through May, and hopefully we won't see a real spike in delinquency.
Gotcha. It's kind of nobody really knows what May is going to look like. We've got another question from Cindy Nitschke, and I know what she's asking here. So with everybody shifting to emailing your teams and calling your teams, are the on-site folks starting to feel swamped from all the emails and calls, and vendors are being seen as a nuisance? How can we make sure we're not being a nuisance?
So
not from our.
Yeah, we keep our email separate from like prospects. That we use Knock where they can flow everything through there, so it's not coming into their inbox. So trying to lighten what's in their inbox. So they shouldn't be overwhelmed in their inboxes. Now they are getting more invoices, you know, from some vendors through their inbox that they weren't getting in the past, but I can't imagine they're not, you know, why they would feel overwhelmed or see it as a nuisance.
All right. So we'll keep going down that path. Kristen, have I missed any questions in the queue?
There's one from Betsy Kirkpatrick. Can you hear me?
I can.
She says, is there any interest in free streaming fitness classes for residents until the end of the month?
I'll step in. I know that a lot of our properties are discussing this. This would be something, Beth, that I would reach out to our regionals at, because I know it's been discussion. So it is something that they are interested in. So feel free to reach out.
Agreed.
That's fantastic. Okay. All right. Well, we are right up against it. So Amy and Lori, any closing thoughts? Anything we haven't covered?
No, I just want to thank everyone for your support.
Okay. Well, we are really
good together.
Say that again, Lori.
I just said everybody's worked really well together through this weird time. So.
It's been crazy, and we appreciate y'all getting on the call with us. You know, and like I say, I appreciate you guys. Everybody on this call are leaders in the industry. We're really sad we're not going to have the Apartment Association of North Carolina's Education and Legislative Conference. That's where we all get together. Everybody on that committee worked really hard to put that thing together, but it just wasn't going to happen. So this may be the next new normal for the next few months. So I'm going to unmute everybody, and everybody just give a friendly wave and thank you to Amy and Brenda. Stephen has jumped off. I'm sorry he had some technical difficulties. Maybe we'll get him back on the next call. But everybody's going to be unmuted now, so say hello and thanks, Amy and Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lori.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a really great day.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.
You too. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
You too.